This evening I've just got a block as a prop and mat, obviously. Standing start. I'm going to spend a minute just allowing the feet to kind of wake up a little bit, so stretching the toes, paddling from side to side, just shifting the weight through the knees, the ankles and the hips, transferring the weight laterally through the spine. At the same time, letting the breath settle, come back to you a little bit. Okay. Bring the feet about hip distance apart and parallel, so taking a cheeky little look towards the front of the mat. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Slowly take the arms out wide as I breathe in. Bring the palms together if you're able to, and exhale out again. Arms nice and wide. We'll take that 3 more times. And bring the hands into the heart this time. Allow yourself to hinge forward, soften the knees a little as you draw the belly in. Ease the fingers down to the floor. Put the hands onto the shins as you lift up halfway. And exhale. Down to the floor. Come to the shins again as we lift up. And fold it down. Shins for the lift. Exhale down to the floor. Last time lifting. Exhale down. Hands onto the hips this time. Soften the knees and let ourselves lift up entirely, sweeping the arms out to the side and up to the sky. And hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor again. I'll sweep the hands onto the hips. Ourselves lift again. Hands high. Drawing the ribs down and the belly in a little bit. Bringing the exhale. Just transferring the weight a little into the toes as we come down to the floor. This time we'll take the arms out wide to lift up. A little more strain on the lower back and abdominals. Bring the palms together and hands in towards the heart. And exhale down to the floor again. We'll take 2 more of those. Taking the arms wide. Spine long and lifting up. And coming back in. Arms out wide. Only this time we'll take it into a little back bend. And then let the arms float out to the side and behind us a little bit as we interlace the hands. Draw them down towards the floor, hinging out through to the front of the mat. Taking the hands towards the sky and then over the head towards the front of the mat. Release the hands down to the floor. Fingertips touch. Sweep the arms out wide as we breathe in. Carry that into our little back bend. Float the arms out wide behind our back. Interlace the hands and draw ourselves over the hips and down to the floor. Release the hands down to the ground. Arms float out wide. Take A small back bend as you lift up. Use the hands behind. All the way down to the floor we go. Release the hands to the floor. Take a little breath and step back into down dog. Walk the legs out a little. Those fingertips, if possible, right on the front edge of the mat. No gaps under the hands. Allow yourself to walk the feet out gently if that feels good. And maybe bend the knees a fraction. Have a line between your hands, your shoulders, and your hips to get a longer or flatter. Once you've done that, you might think about pressing the heels towards the back of the mat as if you're sliding your feet away from you a little more. Now we'll float gently into a plank. So the shoulders are over the wrists, and just bring the knees down to the floor directly underneath the hips. And take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Just drawing the chest forwards, tucking the tail under, rolling through. Come forwards again. And roll it out. If you wish, you can start to take that into some barrel rolls, rolling the ribs out to the side. We'll keep the arms straight, so we work a little bit more into the shoulder drop, as well as rolling through the spine and moving the pelvis about. We'll let ourselves take it the opposite way, a few repetitions as well. We'll work our way back into a neutral position with the spine. So just lifting the chest a little. And we'll take the toes of the right foot underneath and lengthen out. Press down through the left shin as we bring the right foot higher and allow the left hand to move out in front, palm facing in. So ideally, the body is a straight line running parallel to the ground. Your heart and your belly button and your groin are over the center line of your mat. Try to limit the wobbling around. Press out through the heels and stretch through the fingertips to increase that stretch. Bring the hands down to the floor and bring the knees down. Just notice whether you're moving your hips around after the event. And take the left foot back, let yourself to lift. Take the right arm away. Again, center line is your focus. A little bit of focus and awareness into the back leg. And it's running parallel to the side edges of the mat, not hooking out to the side or crossing over. That will affect your balance enormously if it's going in either of those directions. Bring the hands back down to the floor and knees down to the ground. Take a little breath, tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and lengthen away. Now we're going to bring the right foot away from the floor, but this time bend the knee and flex the foot and try and keep that right angle in. You're going to draw the pelvis and the belly in towards your spine. And then press the heel towards the ceiling. Now draw on the exhale, the knee through, and see if the knee and the nose can touch. Take it back, keeping the core pressed away from the ground. And you're going to lift the foot as high as you can, drawing your belly in. So you're trying to not arch the spine. And draw the knee in towards the body again. And press through. So it's a pretty powerful move. You push away from the ground with the hands so we don't collapse into the shoulders. We keep the belly drawn in tight. We kick the heel in towards the ceiling. Come through again. Take one more of those on this side. Again, trying to keep over the center line of the mat. Allow the knee to come to the ground. We'll cross over to the opposite side. There's the foot. Bend the knee. Press away from the floor. Flex the foot. Draw the belly in. Bring that knee through as you exhale. Press the heel high. Draw it through. Press high. One more draw through. A final press, keeping the belly drawn in. A little fight between the core muscles and the buttock muscles. And then bring the knee back down to the floor. Tuck the toes underneath and move gently into our down dog. Bring the knees to the ground, pivot the feet out to the side as we swivel onto our bottoms, with the feet forwards. Feet come together, sit up tall into Dandasana, but we'll take the hands directly above the shoulders. Try and press the heels and the feet away from you. Let the arms come down. Going to move the block to about halfway down the mat. Draw the heels in towards me. Hands come behind, chin into chest. Roll the spine down to the floor. Wiggle the shoulders underneath and the hips away. And lift up onto the tippy toes as you draw your belly in towards your spine and lift your knees directly above your hips. We'll extend the legs up towards the sky and point the toes. Turn the hands towards the ceiling, draw the shoulders and the back muscles into the floor. Alternating the legs and the arms. Right arm and left leg. Come down to the ground. We hover just above and then come back. Slow movements so that we're not using inertia to swing the leg up. We're actually using the strength of the legs and the abdominals together, the hip flexors. Everything has a chance to work out where it's supposed to be going, how it's supposed to move. This is a fairly basic move. It does require quite a bit of strength through the core. I'd love to see a little bit of coordination on the right and left situation. Try to follow your breath. Stretching those legs out. Drawing the belly and the lower back muscles, mid back muscles into the floor. Almost there. You take the right and the left for the last time. And then we'll cross over to the opposite side for the last time. Allow yourself to bend your knees 90 degrees and place the block in between your thighs Just hold it with your knees. Allow your arms to come out wide, 90 degrees, so just crucifix style. Legs have still got that 90-degree bend in. And we're going to draw the belly muscles in a little bit as we roll the legs over towards the right. Now the idea is to not let the knees and the toes touch the floor. We're going to try and keep the shins sort of parallel rather than dropping the foot to the ground. Roll yourself back up without pushing into the arms or the shoulders. And use your exhale to roll over to the other side. You might get some creaking and cracking and popping in your spine. Roll yourself back again. And you can try and keep those heels same height as your knees, away from the ground. Just rolling gently from one side to the other with control, rather than using the arms to press down and stop the acceleration from occurring. You're trying to do that with your core. Think about using your abdominal muscles to instigate the lift back up and the control down. Let's get a couple more. We'll take it to the last side. The block, place that behind the back of the head. Bring your knees in towards your body and just take the hands on top of the knees and allow yourself to make some nice big juicy circles with the knees in the air. So we're trying to get some opening and looseness into the hip joints. But you'll notice as you pull a little bit with your knees and towards your body, your tailbone lifts off the ground. And then as your knees go out wide, it kind of rocks a little bit, and the spine just moves around a little bit. So we're encouraging that gentle massaging of the lower lumbar spine, the discs and the muscles, big and small. We'll take the knees in the opposite direction a couple of times. And notice with interest as to whether these feel like beautiful circles or they're a bit more rectangular. Draw knees in towards the body, roll onto your right side. Use your hands to press into the floor, lift yourself up, spin your feet round towards the back of the mat, and allow yourself to come back up onto the floor. We'll just use the back foot and move the block out of the way. Take a little breath. Allow ourselves to move into down dog. Walk the fingers and towards the hands, come into the back of the mat. And bring the hands onto the hips, let ourselves lift. Now shift your weight into your left leg. Carefully start to draw your right knee towards your body. Take your hands around the shin. And draw the knee in towards your chest. And press your standing foot into the floor. We'll move that foot down to the ground. Allow ourselves to shift weight over to that right leg. The left leg starts to lift. And we'll bring that knee in towards the body. Take the hands gently around the shins when we're ready. And draw that knee in towards the body. And we'll let that foot come to the floor as well. So the arms high as we breathe in. And hands through the heart and exhale down to the floor. More fingers through to the front of the mat. Take a little breath. We'll step onto the tippy toes and we're going to see if we can hop into the front of the mat. We're going to bend the knees a little bit. The trick is really to keep your eyes on the front of the mat as you float in, and it's done on an exhale. So when you're ready, you count 1, 2, 3. Hop through. Hopefully you come close to the front of the mat. Allow yourself to land with your feet hip distance apart and parallel. Bring the hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up. We'll take the hands high again as we breathe in. Bring hands through the heart as we exhale down to the floor. Fingers on the shins. Halfway lift. Forward it back down to the floor. I'm going to step the right foot back into lunge. Drop the heel onto the center line. Bring the hands alongside your body. And taking the right hand forwards, we lift slowly up into our warrior 2. The hands in towards your heart, down to the floor. Stepping back into down dog. We'll come forwards into the plank and we'll lower all the way down to the ground, bringing the elbows into the ribs. Bootlaces untuck themselves so they're down on the floor. We'll take a low cobra. Inhaling all the way up. Keeping those ribs and elbows nice and close to each other. As we said before, very little weight in the hands. Try and lengthen the legs away. Last lift. Now, hands to the bottom of the ribs. Press back away from the floor. Tuck the toes under. Sit back onto the heels into child's pose. Take a breath and then slowly lift the knees away from the floor back into your down dog. We'll scissor the right leg to the sky. Roll the knee in towards the chest. Hold it there as we breathe in down dog. And then use the exhale to bring the foot through into lunge. Pressing out through the back heel. Take a breath there and press off the toes of the back foot into that forward bend. Let ourselves release down. Put the arms out wide as we've practiced before and lift up high. Hands into the heart and exhale down to the floor. Folding in deep. Hands onto the shins, lifting up halfway and easing their way back down to the floor. The left foot back into the lunge, drop the heel in for a second, warrior 2. As you exhale to lift up, a couple of breaths here. Draw the tailbone to the floor as you press your feet into the ground. Hands in towards your heart, down to the floor. Stepping back into our down dog. We'll come forwards into the plank and back down to the ground again. We'll take another 5 of those low cobras. Try and roll the heels out. Press the bootlaces down and legs away. Hands to the bottom of the ribs, shoulders back, peel away from the ground on the exhale. Sit all the way back into child's pose with those toes tucked under. Take a breath. And then lift the knees gently away from the floor into your down dog. Over the left leg high. Draw the knee in towards the chest and squeeze. Take a breath and come forward with your foot into the lunge. And then press off the back toes into that forward bend. And bring the hands out wide again as we inhale up towards the sky. Hands in towards the heart, and we'll take a step into the front of the mat just to take the space up. And then exhale down to the floor we go. Hands onto the shins as we lift halfway. Folding down. I'm going to take the right foot to the back of the mat into our lunge. We'll drop the back knee down onto the floor. Press away from the front foot, coming into a monkey split. So straighten the leg a little on that front leg, toes towards the sky or on the fingertips. Try and keep your heart, belly button and pubic bone on the center line of the mat. With a big stretch into the back of the leg. Try and keep the head more or less in line with your spine. If you're able to, try and lift the chest a little forwards. Come back into the lunge. Lift the back knee to drop the heel in, ready for the warrior two lift. And then this time we'll take the hands high and rotate out towards the front of the mat, down to the floor. Stepping it back into our down dog. We'll come forwards into plank, taking half plank this time, an up dog. Scissoring the right leg high. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Take a breath. Bring the foot through. Full lunge. Step it into the front of the mat. Forward in deep. Arms out wide. All the way to the sky. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Hands on the shins to lift. Forward down. Taking the left foot back into lunge. Dropping the back knee. Press away from the front of the mat, straightening the front leg. Toes lift up to the sky. You can drag the fingertips a little closer towards you if you need to. Try and lift the chest. Move to breathe. Now press down into the toes of the back foot a little bit, as if you're trying to press your shin into the floor. Now just allow that rear leg to stay active. It helps keep you a little more on the center line. That back leg is engaged and working. We'll come forwards again. Lift into the lunge. Drop the back heel. Warrior two lift to the left side. I bring the hands high. Rotate out to the front of the mat, down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. We'll come forwards into the plank, to half plank, to up dog. And roll it back into that down dog. Inhale the left leg into the scissor. Pull the knee in towards the chest. Press the hips back. Breath in. And come forwards into your lunge. Breath in position. Use the exhale to come into the forward bend. Inhale the arms out wide to lift high. Into the heart. Exhaling down. Onto the shins we lift. And fold down. We're taking the right foot to the back of the mat, dropping the heel in. Hands alongside the body to lift into our warrior two. Inhale the hands high. Extend out towards the front of the mat. Bring both hands onto the inside of the front leg. Allow yourself to turn the toes of your front foot out to the side. Let the knee hang out a little bit. Now roll onto the outside edge of the right foot and see if you can allow your hip to sink to the floor as you draw your left arm up towards the sky, towards the back of the mat. Float it all back, turn the foot, bring the hands either side, allow yourself to step back into your down dog. Scissor your right leg into a three-legged plank, three-legged half plank. Bring the foot down. Inhale up to your up dog. Exhale, down dog. Scissor the right leg again. Drawing in towards the chest as you breathe in. Bring the foot through front of the mat into your lunge. Step it into a forward bend. Drop in deep. Hands out wide as you lift high. Hands into the heart and exhale down to the floor. Hands onto the shins, we lift. And we fold back down. Left leg back into lunge. Drop the heel in. Warrior two for the lift. Inhale the hands high. Bring them to the floor. Transfer your hands to the inside of the front foot. Toes out to the side. Allow yourself to roll gently into the outside edge of that foot. Drop the hip a little. Take the right hand towards the back of the mat. Inhale it back, hands either side of the front foot. Step it back to down dog. Scissor left leg. Come forwards into the half plank. Boot laces down to the ground. Take up dog. Back to the down dog. And scissor the left leg again. The front comes in towards the chest and squeezes. Take a breath. Bring your foot through for the lunge. Exhale into the forward bend. And folding deep. Hands out to the side. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Hands onto the shins. Lifting halfway. Down to the ground. We'll take the right leg back into the lunge. Drop the heel in, lifting to our warrior two. This time we'll take reverse warrior. Turn the front hand, wrap the opposite arm around your back, out towards the back of the mat. We'll come forwards and extend out over the front thigh for extended side angle, taking the top arm up and over. We'll take a little breath from there. Bring the hand down onto your hip. Now look towards the front of the mat. Take your lower arm, fingertips forwards. Press off the back foot. Allow yourself to lift into a half moon pose. Toes out to the side on that really raised leg. Two more breaths. We'll do our best to land back into lunge. Bringing the hands to the floor, stepping back into our down dog. We'll scissor the right leg to the sky. Come forwards into plank, half plank to up dog. Roll it back into down dog. Scissor the right leg again, knee towards the chest. Bring your foot through. Step it into the front of the mat. Sweep your arms wide. Lift to the sky. And through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Hands on the shins as we lift. Ease our way down to the floor. Left foot back into lunge. Ready for warrior two. Turn the palm on the front hand. Guide yourself into your reverse warrior. Come back into warrior two. Extend out over that front thigh. Forearm onto the inner groins, top arm lifts. You open the chest to the long side of the mat as you press the feet in. Stretch out fingers to the front of the mat. Come back with that hand onto the hip, look towards the front of the mat. Take the lower hand out and forwards. Let yourself lean into the front leg. Left high. And come into the second half moon. Yes, that makes it a full moon. We've done both sides. Again, we try to soften front knee into our lunge. Go back into our down dog. Scissor the left leg. Three-legged plank to half. To up dog. Back into down dog. Scissor the left leg again. Scissor that into the knee. Sorry, draw that into the knee. No scissors. And then bring this foot through. Words get a little muzzled as you get tired. Take a breath and step into the front of the mat. Folding deep. Hands into the hips. Let ourselves lift. Really inhale high. Come down to the floor. We're stepping back into our down dog. Come forwards into the plank. And we're going to slowly see if we can take the left hand forwards about a forearm's length. Drop the elbow to the ground. Then you can take the other hand, do the same, and you're into an elbow plank. We'll roll the feet over to the left. Let ourselves come into a side plank. Taking the right hand to the sky. Try and keep the bottom shoulder pressing away from your ears by pressing down through your forearm. Lift the hips as high as you can. Press those feet into the ground. Come back into the elbow plank. Roll the feet to the opposite side. Take side two. Back into the elbow plank. Allow yourself to slowly lower your hips to the floor. Untuck the toes and we're in Sphinx pose. Drawing the chest forwards a little. Rolling the shoulders back, lengthen the legs away. Use the chest to the floor. Take the hands down to the bottom, the ribs peel away from the ground. Swivel the feet out to the side, bottoms to the ground, legs out to the front of the mat again. We'll take that trusty block, just have the hands, palms in, long ways. Allow hands to come out in front. Doing your best to sit up tall, so you can take your hands directly above the crown of your head. So sitting bones into the ground. Roll the shoulders back a little bit. Hands come down to the floor. Just put the block out to the side. Hands come behind for a reverse tabletop. You're going to point the toes forward, squeeze the thighs together. Slowly lift your hips away from the ground. Keep the chin in towards your chest. The hips to lift as high as you can. Press down through the hands. Push those shoulders down to the floor. Remember to breathe. Stretch the toes forwards. Squeeze the thighs lightly. Ease your way down to the ground. Allow yourself to sit up tall and float the arms forwards and up towards the sky as you breathe in. Hands back down again. Take them to the same position behind. Back a little. Open the chest, point the toes forwards to lift. Second time. And we'll let ourselves come down. Sitting in a nice right angle, we'll slide the heels in, feet on the floor, squeeze the knees together a little. Next, we'll take the block, just put that between the legs, just to make sure that we're squeezing onto something. Hands around the back of the thighs, lift the chest as you lean back onto the sitting bones a little. Allow the feet to come away from the floor into boat pose. Now, if you feel strong, if you want to take your hands away, we'll take that for 5 breaths. You press out through the feet. The longer you feel, the less tightness you get in these hip flexors. So that takes a little mind-body connection to start thinking about lengthening out when really you're doing your level best not to fall over or keep your legs away from the ground. Does actually make life a little easier. One more breath. Bring the hands back under, feet to the floor. Whew. Let ourselves sit up. We'll take a breath, cross the ankles over, come forwards, lift up, and step ourselves back gently into down dog territory. So the feet are about hip distance apart. Come forwards into your high plank. Take the feet over to the left. Allow yourself to lift your right hand to the sky. We'll take one breath. Bring the hand down to the floor. Cross over to the opposite side. One breath high. Bring the hands down to the floor. Cross the legs over to the left and stack the feet this time. One long breath. Hands come down. Over to the right. Stack the feet. And bring the hand down to the floor. Go to the left again. Stack. Take the hand away. Lift the top foot. Height of the hip. Bring the foot down with control. Hands onto the floor. Over to the other side. Stack the feet first. Lift, find your balance. Lift your leg. One breath. Control the foot coming down. Back into plank. We'll take it across. Stack the feet. Lift the hand. Draw the heel in towards the groin. Then bring the hand down. Give it a little help. Hook it in. Side plank tree pose. Lengthen the leg out. Hands to the floor. Last side. Over to the right. Stack. Lift. Find your balance. Allow yourself to draw your foot in. Use your hand to bring the heel into the groin. Lift up high. Lengthen the legs out. Woo-hoo. Back. Knees to the ground. Feet out to the side. Out to the front of the mat. And asana again. Take our trusty block. Lift the hands high above your head. Reaching those hands high, pressing out through the heels. Your breath will still be working. This is a high energy pose for most of us. Again, we can bring the block down. Slide the feet in towards us. Lean back. Take the legs out. This time no block. Hands out in front. Try and lift the chest, lift your lower back as little towards the front of the mat as you can. It's kind of an up and forwards movement, just to stop your lower back collapsing underneath you. Bring the hands back under. Whew. Cross the ankles over. Back into that down dog. Now we'll draw the left knee in towards the chest. Come forward into plank. Touch the knee and nose together. Scissor the leg to the sky. Draw the knee into the chest as we take a breath. Use the exhale to tap the outside of the elbow on the left into plank. Back into dog and scissor the leg. We'll cross over through the center, so knee to chest. Come forward, tap, and back it out up towards the sky. Foot to the floor. Woo. The right leg lifts. Lean towards the chest, squeeze it in. Take a breath, bring it forwards. Knee and nose get close to touching. If not actually managing it, the right leg lifts. Scissor, the knee comes through again. Tap of the elbow on the outside. Lifting into the scissor. Whew. Lean towards the chest. And use your exhale. Bring the elbow across. Swivel your legs. Foot to the floor. Whew. Knees to the ground. Down to our elbows. Feet behind. Now let's just come into that Sphinx pose again. So I might need to adjust. I'm just going to have to scrape an eyelash out of my eye for the second time today. Whew. There we go. Now allow yourself to turn your palms towards the sky in the Sphinx pose. Press the forearms down into the floor. Take a little breath, draw your belly in. Try as hard as you can to lift your right thigh off of the ground. You need to press your left leg down to help to assist, and then bring that gently down. It's like a reverse low cobra. Press the elbows down, belly in, lift, left leg, ease that back down. So just trying to activate that hip flexor to draw a little bit of leg movement. I'm not looking for too many degrees of movement here. So we're keeping the legs strong, pointing the toes out, and cross over to the left again. And down. Whew. Over to the opposite side. And down. One more time to each. You might find that you're able to move more on one side than the other, which might be a movement pattern, but it might just show some tightness on one side more than the other. We'll bring our chest down to the floor and allow ourselves to take the hands out wide as if we're going to do a press up and come onto the fingertips. On the exhale, press down into the fingertips, come into your gecko pose, lift your chest high and forwards, legs away. Inhale, all the way down. Back again, we lift. And then we come down. And last lift. Down to the floor. As you arrive chin to the ground, allow yourself to bend both knees and bring the heels in towards your bottom. Take your hands back and find your ankle joints. Be sure it's your ankle joints, not the toes or your foot in some other way. Bring the thighs into parallel. And allow the heels to rest into your buttocks. And if you're like me, when I start off with that, because the length of my arms and my body, where my legs get to, don't quite make that perfect. My hips have lifted off the ground. So I'm going to press the hips into the floor and the thighs first and get them back down to the ground and then flex the feet. And start to press the shins away and keep the thighs on the ground. Now that will lift the chest. Then on the next exhale, I'm going to press the soles of the feet to the floor to allow the thighs to come away from the ground. So come into the highest version of bow pose that my body will take. Shoulders back a little bit. As you breathe in gently, you might start to get a little rock and roll forwards and backwards. Let the legs come to the ground, chin to the ground. Release the feet, bring the hands underneath your chin. Relax your shoulders and wriggle the hips out from side to side. Now, hopefully that block is still close to hand, so bring it underneath where your chin would be. Allow yourself to roll gently onto your back. So head is now the wrong end of the mat, but it's the right end for what we need to do. And we'll bring the feet in towards the bottom on that center line. Let the arms come out wide, palms facing up. And shimmy the hips across to the left side as far as they'll comfortably go, and then slowly roll the legs down over towards the right. Try and keep the shoulders on the ground, and you can turn the head towards the left hand, and you can bring your right hand onto your thighs to add a little bit more weight to your legs and gravity already. Then the legs come back up. Line the spine for a moment, taking a breath there and just letting it relax. Shimmy the hips right, and the legs go over to the left. And you can turn the head the opposite way if you wish. I need to keep my head facing this side just so that I can keep a little bit of an eye on time. Slowly roll the legs back. And push back into the center. Hands a little closer to the side of the body as we come into Shavasana. We can remove the brick from the back of the head if that doesn't give you pleasure. You sort of wriggle the shoulders underneath, loosen your jaw, wriggle your feet away and let the legs roll out. Release the hands and the wrists. And just let your breath soften. Let that energy that you've created in your body move around. Let yourself sink into the mat. Now begin to stretch those fingers and toes. Breathe a little deeper into the body, allow the wrists and ankles to move. So just bringing the nervous system back together with the mind and the breath, very slowly and gently. When you're ready, allow yourself to stretch out in any way that feels good. Now allow yourself to bring your heels along the ground towards you. Carefully ease the knees in towards your body for a final, very soft hug. Just rolling around a little bit on the spine, circling the knees, whatever feels good. To our right side, take a breath. Use the hands to press into the floor. Lift ourselves back up. We'll come into an easy posture for you to sit in, whatever that is. yourself to open your eyes. Feel the blood moving around your body. Hands in towards your heart as you close the eyes again, taking that longer breath in, and then on slow exhalation, letting the chin drop. As you feel your belly drawn to your spine, let that simple vow form, sealing your practice. On the inhale, letting the breath build the spine for you until your head lifts easily, your eyes can open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me on the mat for a Friday evening. Hope to see you again soon.